There's been a change in the weather. It's fucking cold outside. And I got my sweats on, so it's time for another exciting episode of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse, going back to our black and white motif. As Blanca comes in here and goes, "What the fuck are you doing here?" Well, let me take you back to a really fucking horrific film, shot in 1959. A year after Steve McQueen appeared in an American film called The Blob. Well, obviously, someone in Italy watched this thing, namely maybe Riccardo Frida, and they decided to make their own version of The Blob, which was a lot nastier than our version of The Blob. And the name of that movie is Caltiki, the Immortal Monster. And this would mark an uncredited Mario Bava's directorial debut. Mario was a cinematographer before director, and it all shows here with the opening of this movie where this guy is wandering around these Aztec ruins, and obviously something has happened, and he staggers back into camp and starts muttering about a mummy and his buddy and stuff like that. Well, it seems this team of explorers is checking out these Mayan ruins, and these two gentlemen went in there with a movie camera to do some searching on their own and found an underground cavern with the Mayan deity Caltiki there. And they find the footage in this camera, and obviously they were attacked by something. And the poor guy Elmer is not there, so they're figuring he's at the bottom of this lake. So they go back with skin diving equipment, and the skin diver named Bob goes down and finds a shitload of gold, amulets and bones and things like that, but no Elmer. Now, this is really creepy and fucking spooky because of the way it was shot. You see him going down a second time, you see him scooping up the gold and shit. And then all of a sudden, something happens. And they pull him out. And when they pull him out and take the skin diver mask off, his face is nothing but a grinning skull with eyeballs and teeth. Now, you got to realize when I saw this, I was on vacation up in Massachusetts at my godmother's house. And this was on one of their showcases, and I remember whatever the horror host was calling it Caltiki, and had some kind of shit going on. But nevertheless, for a 12-year-old kid to see something like this was like, holy fuck. And then the blobby monster emerges from the depths and is expanding and going out of the fucking lake, chasing the people. Well, Max, one of the guys, decides to run back and grab the bag of gold. Of course, he trips and his arm gets engulfed by Caltiki. The other scientist, his buddy, chops the fucking mass off, and they bring Max back to a hospital. Well, in another scene that a 12-year-old kid shouldn't have seen, they peel what's left of the creature off of Max's arm, exposing a huge skeletal arm and some shit on his face. Max was played by Gerard Herder, a German actor who, after Caltiki, found himself in spaghetti westerns like Adios Sabata, The Big Gun Down, Any Gun Can Play, and as a German officer in the American film The Devil's Brigade. So I think he was one of the actual people besides Bava that went on and did other stuff. Anyway, the side effect of this creature attacking Max is that basically he's going to lose his fucking mind. Well, Max has the hots for the other scientist's wife, and his girlfriend is this half-breed named Linda, who he pretty much abuses. Well, anyway, he breaks out of the hospital and kills a nurse in the process and is hidden by Linda somewhere. Anyway, they've done some research into Caltiki, and they take one little piece of it and bombard it with radiation, and it comes back to life. Well, it seems that there's a whole bunch of shit going on with this legend because there's supposed to be a comet coming close to the Earth, which will be the mate of Caltiki, and will inspire Caltiki to take over the Earth. So anyway, somehow some stupid night watchman turns on the radiation thing in the hospital and is eaten by Caltiki, and of course they burn the fucker to death, because the only way to get rid of Caltiki is to burn it. The one in the cave, they drove a tanker truck full of, actually a pickup truck full of gasoline cans into it and blew it up. So now, in the house, the Caltiki piece in there gets out of its little fucking cage and is splitting up in some variously disgusting things with little stringy shit coming out. Like I said, this is a lot more nasty than our Blob. So, Max has been hiding in the house and being fed by Linda. No one knows that these Caltiki fuckers are moving around in the house. So he confronts Linda and the wife and the guy's child with a gun and thinks that there's something going on in the other room. Well, Linda tries to stop him, but he shoots Linda. And he yells for, I guess the guy's name was John, to come out. Well, Caltiki bursts out of the room and engulfs Max, swallowing him in this blobby mess. Max starts puking blood out of his mouth, and in another scene that a 12-year-old kid shouldn't have seen, Max's grinning skull is being pushed out with his bony hands as the Caltikis are crawling up the stairs, going through the fucking garden, and in general causing a fucking rhubarb. Cheap tanks arrive with flamethrowers, the monster is burned to death and finally dispatched, and that was the end of it. This film was just put out on a Blu-ray by Arrow Blu-ray, and there's two versions. There's the Italian language version and the dubbed English version. And when you flip on the dubbed English version, they say basically that the original version was lost and they took bits and pieces from other versions and you might want to watch it in Italian. Well, if I wanted to read subtitles, fine. It was fine the way it was. It's just one of those really weird fucking things that I was exposed to as a child, which probably I shouldn't have been exposed to if anybody bothered to watch the fucking movie. But it has a fond place in my heart as one of my first gory Italian fucking movies. And as for a first feature, Riccardo Frida was the director, but he wanted Bava to have a shot and let Bava do the film uncredited. So now we all know where it came from. We all know it's a classic film and definitely worth another watch. So that's our little black and white featurette for today. The big surprise I have been talking about is coming to fruition because the good people at fusebox.com are creating me a website. So then people can go there and buy my publications and work without worrying about getting ripped off or any other shit like that. So basically I've gone completely around Amazon and the rest of these jerk-offs, and it will be, you'll be dealing with me and me alone, which is good because, Grindhouse Resurrection 3 is soon to come out. It's a tribute to Gary Kent, but we'll have a lot of other stuff besides Gary Kent in it. So that should be hopefully by early November. So until next show, stay safe. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you on the flip side.